the Dream 100 Show. The epicenter of influence, collaboration, and exponential growth. You're about to discover the power of relationships. Dream 100 relationships. And you're one relationship away from a totally different business and life. This is your host, Michael Tasner.
If you dislike change, you're going to dislike irrelevance even more. In today's episode of the Dream 100 Show, we're going to talk through one of many over the next couple of weeks, and more likely the next 2 months, of all of the critical shifts, the trends, the things that you have to pivot if you want to continue to stand the test of time. And not even just stand the test of time, but if you want to get into hyper growth mode. There's one thing that I've learned over my 20 plus year career in entrepreneurship is that everything is changing all the time. Now, in particular, being in the marketing space, things change daily. And this is obviously largely due to AI, but there's new stuff going on with Google every day, and new algorithm changes, and Meta's got a new way of putting ads and having AI creative and seeing the results of that, and then direct mail or billboards or there's a lot of things that are constantly changing. Now, have some things stayed consistent, like radio advertising and direct mail? So there's things that have been kind of time tested, and there's ways you have to adapt and change with, like direct mail, for example, but digital is constantly shifting. But I don't want to just focus the next, let's call it 2 months, on marketing. I want to give you kind of top level trends that I have been seeing. Some are going to be very obvious, and you're like, Michael, I get it, I understand. But in every episode, I will give you at the very, very least, one core action step that you need to deploy in your business. Whether that's a marketing step, whether that's a business shift, today will be a business related one, a mindset change. Every episode will have one, and they will kind of build on each other, but I also will have some standalone ones. If you haven't learned this by now, A, I do these week by week by week, and B, I like to do them ad lib. So I always have a couple of talking points, but I give you not only what's on my mind, but what is percolating from all the research that I'm doing. I spend a lot of my day, at minimum 25% of my week, learning and keeping a pulse on not just what's going on, but what is next. So today I want to talk about everyone's least favorite topic, and that is the pandemic. Feels like it was just yesterday to me. But I want to focus on what actually then shifted across businesses. What shifted on the consumer side? So the people that are looking to purchase from you, whether it's a consumer, a B2C, or a B2B, it's still P2P, it's still people-to-people marketing. But what has shifted? And most importantly, then, when we come full circle of how do you have to make sure that your business has pivoted? So to me, the biggest one is this entitlement around extreme flexibility, extreme, not even personalization, but just being able to grab something, whether that's a retail area flexibility, a B2C, and we're going to talk through it. It'll make a lot more sense in just a minute. But what ended up happening was businesses had to shift, overnight. Many businesses went under. Many businesses have never recovered. The stats that I've been reading about the restaurant industry is that there are some restaurants that have still never fully recovered. Now, while there were a lot of loans to help keep these businesses afloat, some of them were grants, others were loans. So if you took out these loans and you were not able to repay them because the volume either never fully came back and or the volume that came back is steady, but you now have this loan that you have to pay that a lot of those businesses have just not been able to make it work. That was a dark time for everyone. But what ended up happening with the people that you were aiming to sell to, they now have this sense of, I hate to use the word entitlement, but they have an expectation that you are going to be able to be flexible. So let's talk through what flexible means. The first thing is that from a payment standpoint, they're expecting that there's going to be a couple of different options. The businesses that are cash only have been a dying breed. Dying breed. And people say, well, Michael, we're still busy and we're cash only. If there is a comparable business to yours in the same geographic area that has the same deliverables, so one good restaurant versus another good restaurant, I can promise you that I've seen the data, and the restaurants that take multiple forms of payment and not just cash outperform those that are cash only. So you trying to save your 3 or 4% is definitely hurting you a lot more than 3 or 4%. So if we look at going back to this whole flexibility thing, one aspect is around money. Consumers are expecting to be able to pay you with multiple types of payment. But the other big thing that there has been a growing trend on with this flexibility is payment terms. So tools like Affirm. So if you're selling a higher ticket product or service, the person that you're selling to on the other side is not as flush with cash, most likely, where they're going to cut you a check or give you cash to pay for the entire project. They want to understand what financing options you have. They want to see, is there 0%? Because that was a big thing during COVID. Businesses had to get creative and start to offer different things and terms and buy now and pay later and all of that. Well, unfortunately, we got spoiled. And this is now starting to become a little bit of the norm, where you walk into a store and there's something that's expensive. Can you pay for it over almost the layaway option? I think layaway is still around. I believe that was like a Kmart thing. Maybe different businesses. But this expectation around you're going to be flexible on price and or how things are paid. So that's the first thing. If you look at your business, I want you to see, is there something that you can quickly change, quickly improve to make that happen? If you're a general contractor and you say, well, we can take cash or check. It could be as simple as you just saying, we can also take PayPal, we can take Venmo, we can take a credit card. There is a small fee. And if you're not going to charge a fee, then just bake it into your price. What has become accepted is some of these little surcharges and things like that. Oddly enough, that 3 or 4% increase, so people know that there's a cash price or a credit card price, that has been accepted. However, people much rather want the option. So again, if you're a contractor and you're saying, well, these are the only 2 options that I have, if they're getting a competing price and someone offers me 0% financing, and maybe that's baked in, maybe that's already baked in, and I'm working with a finance company that I'm going to give them 5%, and then they're going to pay me now, but I'm going to have to end up giving them 5% of the transaction. You bake that in. This whole 0% thing, like, consumers need and are wanting that flexibility, and that's not just because of how the economy as I'm recording this. Things are more expensive, people are living paycheck to paycheck. Like, I'm seeing the trends and such. I'm seeing all this stuff. I got it. I get it. I understand. But what COVID has done, again, is it's rapidly accelerated this flexibility. And the first thing is payments. The second one is the flexibility around, and I'm trying to think the best way to describe it, because there's all different types of businesses, but the flexibility as to how we do business. So we talked about money, but people are now expecting, like restaurants, if you don't have an app and online ordering, they're going to other places. It's this convenience. They're expecting all these other things that they got during COVID, where people would drop stuff off at your door. Great, you needed this, you can't come into our store, so we're going to deliver it for you completely free of charge. We started to get addicted to some of those things. And then obviously with big companies like Amazon and how rapid their deliveries are, this instant gratification. So it's not just the flexibility as to how I'm doing business with you, but it's my expectation that you're going to go above and beyond to continue to get and earn my business. Whether that means I'm working with a landscaper and I just want to be able to text you what I need done, and then you show up, and then we'll deal with the bills later. I need certain things delivered. I want a dog food from a local pet supply store that I expect to have it that same day. The level of expectations has grown exponentially to those things are now considered the norm. I wouldn't have thought that same day delivery would be the norm. I wouldn't have thought that local hardware supply stores or whatever type of local business, I never would have thought that would be the norm. But then this expands into all the other different businesses. If you're an e-commerce business, the expectations are free shipping. It's not free, it's low cost, and it's rapid. This we want it now. We got addicted during COVID to sitting on computers, online ordering, and we want it now, now, now. Give it to us right now. Give us flexible payment options. These are all now considered the norm. So you have to look at whatever business you're in. You want to look at, are you being flexible enough to grab your ideal customers? Now that's the asterisk. We talk about within the Dream 100 that you're going to have some customers that are better than others. If you're telling me, Michael, I don't want the people that they want flexible payments. I don't want the people that want 0% financing. It's a different story. But what you need to dig deeper into then is, well, what flexibility does your Dream 100 customer want? I'll use a perfect example. I just changed my CPAs recently. The one that I had, I thought that I was getting, because I was paying for it, what I would label premium service. To me, premium service means you get my stuff done on time, you're able to work with me if I'm last minute, and you're able to make it happen. Like VIP level service. Because I feel like with this stuff, I'm always kind of down to the wire. What I got was the exact opposite. Now I found a different CPA that did not only offer this premium level service, but then they actually followed through. Quickly moved my business over. That CPA knows that their target audience, they're not looking for the deal, like the $500 CPA versus the $5,000, but they know that their customers are going to be the entrepreneurs that have ADHD that are all over the place, and they can wrangle them for a couple hours over the course of a week or two to get what they need and to get the job done right, done well, etc. So they're not compromising. They're knowing who their target customer is, that Dream 100 customer. But they're learning about the customer on the other side of what are their expectations now. So your final action step is to look at your Dream 100 customers. Look at all the people that you're dealing with and start to learn about their expectations that maybe they're not telling you. The ones that are most obvious that have been black and white are the financing options, paying with different forms of payment. In the next year, it will be the norm to be paying with cryptocurrency. Plain and simple. Like, people get frustrated now when your Apple Pay, they go to tap their phone and it doesn't work. They might just walk out of this, well, I don't have any other payment method. I have Apple Pay, that's it. And they walk out. Now the person is ticked off, so you need to look at those little inconveniences to see what you can clean up. But I need you to get more in the mind of your customer, more in the mind of the people that you want to be working with, to understand what things have continued to change that they are now expecting, but they may not communicate. And it's not price. Price might be a piece of it, but it's more those unwritten things that they don't like to talk about. I mean, so yeah, I love shopping at this grocery store, but I don't expect to have to give you 5 cents for a paper bag like we do here in 5 or 10 cents. And those little things are starting to frustrate me to where I'm even considering going to a different grocery store because I never have paper bags. I don't ever have the reusable ones. And even though I'm spending, whatever, $200 on groceries at this point in time, the little 10 cents for paper bags frustrates me. If you're not asking and getting those things from your customers, you're not going to know. But unfortunately, the pandemic shifted the way that we're buying, the way that we expect things. The I want it now has only gotten worse. Make some tweaks, get in the mind of your ideal and your best Dream 100 customers, and start to make those little shifts in your business so that you have a leg up. Tune in next week. We're going to continue going through all of the trends and shifts and industry pivots that are being made right before your eyes. Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.